And hello, welcome to the stream by the crossroads. That's the name of this now. I forgot to tell you guys. That's what I'm going to call it. The stream by the crossroads, like the inn by the crossroads.
What?
Or is it the inn? Or is it the inn at the crossroads?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You've
I don't
screwed
remember.
it up.
You screwed it up. I mean,
The stream by the, I don't know it. It's okay. Next week it'll have its name. All right.
Okay.
All right.
What about the streams of winter?
The streams. Oh shit. That's really good. Okay. Okay. All right. The streams of winter, our book series, our book club will be the stream. I really want to use that one, but I like yours better for this. So welcome to the streams of winter. I am your host. My name is Scott with my messed up glasses. They're like busted up. Jeez, man. Thank you for showing up tonight. We have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. We are going to talk about the great House Greyjoy. We're going to go over a little bit of their history, but then get right into each Greyjoy, who I'd like to say are the only ones in the released chapters that George has released all of them or read one of theirs for Winds of Winter. So you have the Theon chapter, you have the Victorian chapter, and then he read the Forsaken, which was a Aeron Greyjoy, which really was a Euron chapter. So it was a Euron third person chapter. Before that, I'd like to introduce my guests. Below me, we have, according to Christy, who is in the process of making that money.
Hello. We'll see how long it takes.
Yeah. So when did you put in your, so Christy she has over 1,000 subs, hit over the 4,000 watch hours. When did you put that in?
I actually, cause you know how with, watch our time, it's delayed. But with both my live streams on Saturday, I knew I would hit it just based looking at the analytics, and it automatically did it because apparently I signed up for AdSense or whatever it is before, and I was like, okay,
I did that too.
So
it'll automatically do it when you're there.
Yeah, it will.
Oh, okay, cool. That's good to know. Well, please, again, you guys know, subscribe. Next to her is Jayne. Do your little rundown, which is perfect.
Hey guys, you can catch me here on YouTube at Jayne Theory, where I do movie and television show reviews and occasionally some pop culture commentary. And you can also catch me on Twitter at Jayne Theory.
Thank you, Jayne. And next to me, the one true king, Stig Baratheon.
I'm Stannis Baratheon, first of my name. All who deny that are my foes. No, just a regular guy from Norway who really likes these books.
Yes.
And I like the panel too, and the chat.
Yeah, this is turning out to be the best. We just talked about the best stream we do all week.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's the best.
All right. Real quick, if you haven't yet purchased or if you're waiting on a little book by a guy named Stephen Walton, The Fandom Menace, Volume 1, A Fandom Betrayed. And the prick only signed it. I thought he'd at least give me a freaking, note like, hey, thanks for everything, or I mean, my name's in it, I guess, list of everybody else's. And, I'm not like Drunk 3PO who gets a whole thing like my brother who gave me support, whatever, whoever, I was there for you, but it's all right. But these are what I wanted to show everybody. You get these really dope bookmarks. And that one is by Ig, I guess. Oh, it's Vinny Art. This one's Vinny Art. And this one is by Simon Pother. And that is the Jedi we should have all got. So please support him. Christy's going to put the Indiegogo in the chat. This is the first run. He's only doing a first cut again. He wasn't planning on doing it, so it's not going to be considered a second edition if you buy it now. So please support. We don't have many people within the Fandom Menace making content, so this is something we should all get behind. All right. So hail to him, and let's move on. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat. We have Miss Martin Muse, who was on our live stream last week. our book club live stream and was fantastic guest. We'll have her on again. And my brother from down under 14 Barber, great channel, does conspiracy type stuff that I've seen. I love it with Adega Outlaw. Please check out his channel. Sonny Frank, thank you for coming by. Appreciate it. And then we have another monster in the house. Good to see you, my friend. And hopefully some other people will be stopping by. But for now, we are, Derek C. Hey man, my 700th sub. What's going on? Victorian is my favorite character. You know what? After doing the research, if you could, sorry, my kids, but after doing the research, somebody else speak for a second. I got to say goodnight, but talk about Victorian for a split second. Does anybody like Victorian's chapters?
They're okay. Now you talk, Christy.
I haven't read them.
Tell us how you feel, Christy. We're waiting.
Waiting.
Shut up. So I've only concentrated on Euron and his chapters that have been released, but Victorian, I don't know much other than what I've read from the books. So I'm looking forward to finding out. It seems like I guess you could say the better brother, if that's even possible, with the Greyjoys. But
Right.
He's not a monster like Euron is. So we shall see.
No, you got a valid point. When we get to him, you'll see he has honor. Now, granted, it is from the view of his culture, but he has honor. It's just depends on who's looking at that culture at that time, because many people think the Greyjoy or the Iron Islands are barbaric, but from their culture,
Right.
he has a lot of honor, you know?
But he also
Mhm.
seems like the more gullible brother. Like,
Mm.
I'm not that impressed by him. I feel like
I
I don't want to get too far ahead, but I feel like he's being misled. And it's so much of his story and what he's doing just doesn't make sense
mm-hmm.
as
Mm-hmm.
a practical matter. Like the horn we were talking about backstage. I just don't think that's it.
Yeah,
I think
we
the
will
divide is
talk
lying
about it.
to him. You know, it's kind of crazy.
We will talk about it. We're going to start off, though, with a quick little history of the Greyjoy family and how they became the rulers of the Iron Islands. Now, I am actually blanking on the father's name, but we'll go Balon's father. But we're going to go back a little farther. So when Harrenhal, the name after, was an actual Iron Islander, and he took over the Riverlands, the Westerlands, and Aegon decided to lay claim to the Westeros. When Harrenhal decided to say F you to Aegon, Aegon took Balerion the Black Dread, went way up in the sky, came diving down, burnt his kids. So then when the Greyjoys were put in place after they bent the knee, one of the best interactions between two people was that, like, my walls are thick and high and dragons don't care about walls. It was, if you ever read it, read that. It's really dope. So then the Greyjoys, the Iron Islanders are they believe in a reaving lifestyle, which means they pay what they call the iron price. And the iron price means you killed or stole it from someone. You took it off their dead body. The gold price is what mainlanders do. They purchase things with money. Because the Iron Islands are rocky, they can't sow there. So their words are, we do not sow. And mostly they are all drowned god related religions. They have their god is the drowned god who lives in his drowned halls underneath the ocean. And the beginning of the Iron Islands was the Grey King, who lived for a couple hundred years and decided to walk into the water when he wanted to die and join his father, the drowned god. It is a really, really cool history. A lot of attacking the mainland, occupying the mainland, falling back into the Iron Islands, taking it back over, hitting the Shield Islands, hitting Lannisport. But when you get up to the actual like right around Robert's rebellion, Balon, Euron, Victorian, their father, was kind of like a Tywin Lannister, not deciding who to choose for. And he stayed out of it too long. And when he finally decided to choose Robert's side, what he did was go up the Mander and attack the Reach, it was a little late, you know? So he died in that battle. Many think that Euron and Balon might have had something to do with that. His father was a reformer, wanted to get rid of the old ways, get rid of doing the, reaving and raping and pillaging. And once he died and Balon took over, they went back to it. A few years later, Balon tries to claim that he's the king. It's the Greyjoy Rebellion. And this is where he gets defeated by Robert. Stannis has the only victory in a battle at sea against the Greyjoys in the book series. So within the Song of Ice and Fire, not the history, but within the book series, he's the only one to ever beat anyone. And that was actually Victarion. With a smaller fleet, he beat Victarion using his wits, because he is the one true king, right, Stig?
Yes, he beat those bastards.
So because they lost it and they sieged Pike, some of his eldest, all his sons were killed except for Theon. And Theon then was taken by Lord Eddard Stark and raised at Winterfell as his ward. Really what he was his hostage. And Theon always was divided between his loyalty to his homeland that he barely remembers, or the loyalty to Eddard Stark, who treated him as best he could as a son. So that's a quick history. We all know that Theon then betrayed them during the Battle of the Five Kings and became Reek. Go down the line. He's now got his name back. But as of right now, in the sample chapter we got, which the Greyjoys are the only ones that each one of them have a sample chapter that was either written or read by George at a con. And the first one is Theon, and he's hanging on a wall. He is in Stannis's office, and he's pretty much being told he's going to die. So I'm going to read a quick chapter of this, or not the chapter, but I'm going to read a little excerpt of this. So we have, hopefully I picked the right one. We will see.
Before we do that, I do want to say one thing. It is important to also keep in mind that while these people, the Iron Islanders, are looked at as sort of savages or barbarians, the Greyjoys in particular have that origin going back to the Age of Heroes. They have that supernatural origin, believing that they descend from a mermaid. There's a legend that their drowned god is actually a demon or something associated with the others. So there is this deeper level of supernatural power that may be associated with them, or they may be used in a certain way. So that's just something to keep in mind too, as all these things are happening that they're involved in. The Greyjoys are kind of unique in that way.
Go ahead. Back in the day, if Krakens were real, like they claim, what if the others touched one of them?
Yeah,
he would crack up.
No, that would be an undead Kraken, which is seen as a dog.
I'm sorry, I thought you were going pun style. Yeah, You're absolutely right, man. The show showed us an undead dragon. Why not a Kraken?
Right.
The Greyjoys say they go back to the Great King. That's their line. That's who they say they stem from. A lot of people believe that the Iron Islanders are first men that after the pact did not want to worship the gods of the children, and they actually left. So we don't know if the drowned god is an older religion or a newer religion. There's some speculation about that. I just want to say a quick hello to Adam Price, who jumped in the chat. Yes, Adam, that is what Derek is saying. That's Aaron. And then I saw Culture Casino, who, if you are not subscribed to that man's channel, he has a voice for radio, man. He sounds like Christy and I were on his channel yesterday, and he is really good at it. So hail to you, brother. And then did anybody else jump in? Let's see. We have Sunny, we have Culture. I think I'm up to date on everybody. I don't like to miss anyone. And if you have a question, put it to @Spork or @Sporking News, so I know it's a question for us. Oh, Crazy Jedi, how you doing, my friend?
I had a thought though.
Yeah,
all the old gods are very much tied to nature.
yes,
It's trees, rivers,
yeah,
ocean. So the drowned god is most likely one of the old gods.
You know what? That makes sense. He's an elemental god,
Right?
Yeah.
I never thought of that. That makes a lot of sense. I like that. So let's jump into Theon. I'm going to read this real quick. And this is Asha comes in and is speaking to Stannis, who has threatened to just give Theon to the men of the North because the Northern Lords want to kill him for what he did to the Starks. Even though it really, yes, he did, but a lot of it was Ramsay, but they don't know that. So this part is right here, and it says, Theon is my mother's last surviving son. When his brothers died, it shattered her. His death will crush what remains of her, but I have not come to beg you for his life. Wise, I am sorry for your mother, but I do not spare the lives of turncloaks. This one especially. He slew 2 sons of Eddard Stark. Every Northern man in my service would abandon me if I show him any clemency. Your brother must die. Then do the deed yourself, your grace. The chill in Asha's voice made Theon shiver in his chains. Take him out across the lake to the Isles. Islet? Is it Islet or Islet?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. We're going with that. Where the weirwood grows, and strike his head off with the sorceress sword you bear. That is how Eddard Stark would have done it. Theon slew Lord Eddard's sons. Give him to Lord Eddard's gods, the old gods of the North. Give him to the trees. And suddenly there came a wild thumping as the maester's raven hopped and flapped inside their cages, their black feathers flying as they beat against the bars with loud and raunchous caws. The tree! One squeaked, the tree, whilst the second screamed only, Theon, Theon, Theon. Theon Greyjoy smiled. They know my name, he thought.
Mm-hmm.
Now, right there, that's a huge, to me at least, that Bloodraven and Bran are watching. So let's go around. What do you guys have? What do you think is up with Theon, with Asha? Do you have any ideas where you think they might go in the Winds of Winter? I mean, right now they're camped with Stannis. Stannis is waiting for an attack on him instead of attacking Winterfell, which everyone thought he would do because he's a genius. So what do you guys think? We'll start with you, Stig or Christy. Who wants to go first?
Oh, ladies first.
All right, because I'm going to go in a circle.
Okay, Stig, then go.
All right, then Stig, then
Shut
go.
up, you Carol Baskin bitch. We'll let Jayne go first.
Why me?
All right, Jayne, let's go.
Okay, so I suspect that there's something that's going to disrupt this situation. I don't see Theon going out that easily. So in the midst of this conversation or sometime thereafter, before the deed is done, perhaps when the sword is coming down, I believe that's when the attack will happen, and or some other thing to basically save Theon's life. That's it.
Yeah. So you think Theon will make it out of the Winds of Winter?
Yes, I think he will. I think he has a more important role to play here.
I do too. I agree. We'll go Christy next.
Well, I kind of agree with Jayne. I think at a certain point, either he'll help, I do that in quotations, in his own way that he thinks. And if Theon and Asha don't escape, at least one of them, I think, will head back to the Iron Islands. I think, but we'll see. I think it would be more Asha than Theon.
That she'll die or live.
That she'll live. I think both of them will live in this book.
Okay. All right. So they're going to make it through the Winds of Winter.
I think so.
Okay. How about you, Stig?
I don't think he's gonna make it. I think he's gonna croak during this book.
Okay.
I have trouble seeing what part he has to play after Winterfell, because he's very much tied to Winterfell, isn't he?
Very much.
So when the story is done at Winterfell, you know, the attack and all that, yeah, I don't see what else he'll be doing, except, you know, go to the wall. I don't know, but no matter what happens at the Winterfell battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter who wins, he's in deep shit.
Right. Everybody wants him dead, right?
Yeah.
Which is why he'll probably live.
I can see them chain him to a tree, though.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe being used as a vessel for Bran in some way, because he has already eaten blood. So what if he wargs into ravens and peck Theon to death?
Or what about because Theon's so weak, wargs into him. And I just want to say a quick hello to my brother Fatal J, who had a big victory this week with the Snyder Cut. Hail to you, my brother.
Yeah, I think I don't think there'll be a Theon in book 7.
Okay.
But Christy and Jayne also make a good case for the opposite, so we'll see.
See, go ahead, Christy, please.
Did Stig say that we were right, Jayne?
No, he said you made a good. No, I don't think he actually said you're right. But I do think you're right. I think everybody wants him dead, but Stannis. I think Stannis realizes the value of Theon. Okay, so Theon knows things about the Boltons, heard things about the Lannisters, knows the ins and outs of Winterfell. He's a tool for the Iron Islands. He's the last son of Balon Greyjoy. There's just so much, and a lot of people focus on this, the color of his hair, the skin. He's actually like physically turning into the Grey King. You know, the Grey King was described just a bit fatter, but described looking just like Theon.
Stannis is actually known for offering, pardons now and again.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll pardon you or kill you.
But see, I don't think he's wrong, though, that the Northmen would not allow that to happen.
Yeah, well, Theon is an asset. Stannis uses every asset he can.
Right.
So if Theon helps him win at Winterfell, he might give him a pardon for that, because he actually
use him till he then kills him. I mean,
but by then Davos might have shown up with Rickon.
Oh, wait a minute. That's a valid point.
That's true. That's a valid point.
If he didn't kill either one of Eddard's sons, granted, he will punish him, maybe take a hand, but he might let him live.
That could be how he gets out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, though, it goes back to what was in the sample chapter, in that the Northmen are going to want justice for the supposed kings. So, I mean, if he ends up living, or it may come out later that the boys that they know that the boys are actually alive somewhat, I think. But since Stig said that, I kind of retract my statement a little bit. I don't think
Oh,
Stig
so I wasn't
Theon.
wrong anyway.
Shut up, Stig.
Imagine
But I mean,
that.
shut up, Stig. But now that you think about it and how we're all talking, it's just like, so Theon is helpful to Stannis for right now,
Mhm.
but is Davos and Rickon going to come back in time, or is something going to happen to them along the way to where they're delayed?
Right.
And no matter what I think, Theon is going to have some kind of quote unquote justice for what he supposedly did to the Stark boys, I think.
Right. And I also think, and Derek C said it, I think he will have some form of revenge on Ramsay.
Good point, because if you look at the Ragnarok theory, Stannis is based on the god of justice.
Mm.
Which makes sense. He is all about the written law.
Yeah,
You know?
he's just to a flaw.
Right. I mean, even with, like, if you look at, think about this too. When he meets up with Manderley will inform him that he's turning sides, and Davos is alive and he is going to retrieve Rickon. So,
Exactly.
he might save him right there. You don't even need Rickon yet to allow Theon to live even longer. So that's valid. Now, Asha, on the other hand, I don't know what's going to happen with her. I wonder if Euron and Victarion, they're not going to make it to the end. Will she become either the queen or the regent of the Iron Islands?
She's very much a supporting character, though.
But a strong supporting character.
Oh yes, absolutely. But I think there's going to be a lot of deaths.
Yes.
In Winter, and
fingers crossed.
It's not going to be Tyrion, Daenerys, or Bran, right? And most likely not Sam. So we need to look at the supporting cast, right?
Well, she's always loved her. Sorry, Steve.
I'm pretty sure. Well, if you have to make like a short list of people you think might die, I think Asha is on that list.
Yeah, you're right. You have a valid point there. It's just one of those things, like, what value will we get from her death? You know what I mean? Like, he always has there's value in the death we see. Maybe she goes down in a battle, dying the way that, the Iron Islands wants to die. They want to die in battle, to go to, it's almost like Valhalla under the water, the halls of the drowned god.
Well, she might die in the battle on the lake.
True. I think she'll make it through that.
But to be fair, George Martin doesn't do fitting deaths very well. It's you just die somehow, right?
Right. That's true. Life. Sometimes it's just sudden. But I feel like there's also, I think he's going to give us a Bran Theon return. There's a chance that Bran has to leave the cave, and if he does, comes back through the Black Gate, comes down to Winterfell. Stannis is holding Winterfell, or somebody's holding it for Stannis, and Theon is there. Will he die in sacrifice to protecting Bran like he did in the show? There's something to say about that.
Well, Rickon is closer.
Right, in protecting Rickon.
Yeah.
To me, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Or even fake Arya.
I was just thinking this too, Adam Price. Does Asha have a POV? I thought she did in one of the
Oh.
books.
Yeah,
Not in
book,
Dance with Dragons, but the other one.
yeah, book 4.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
she
yeah,
has it
she-
in book 4, right?
Yeah, she has a POV when they get captured by Stannis.
Okay. Oh, that's right. She's talking about the woods and
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
And
Okay.
she kicks ass as well. She manages to take down quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Right. And like another monster saying, Rickon's just a shaggy dog. Now I know I've heard the term, but I forget the definition of what a shaggy dog is. It's kind of like a character that's meant to die. It goes nowhere. All the dire wolves have a name. You know, their names mean something. And a shaggy dog, it's some people believe, oh, it's because he's wild. No, it means something to the effect of the character goes nowhere and dies. If I'm right, Adam, throw that in the chat. I believe that's right. But I don't know. I have to say, after doing some research on the Greyjoys, Theon and Asha's story, I really don't care. Like I'm gonna
Same. I'm gonna be completely honest.
yeah, and I used to like before we started doing this, that's the one I cared about. And now it's like, no, man, reading the Forsaken, reading the Victorian chapters, like bam, that is where it's at. So if you guys have anything else, or does anybody have a question in the chat, remember put at sport question, kind of like Odin question. I'm stealing that from Odin. At sport question. If you have a question about Theon or Asha,
Well, what if they want to ask Jayne about something?
that's a spork question.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a spork stream. It's a stream by the crossroads. No, it's not. It's the stream of winter.
Asha, was she? Did she appear in the first book, or was she just mentioned?
I don't even think she was mentioned in the first book.
No, I think she was. They just mentioned that Theon had siblings or something.
Yeah, something to that effect.
Well, because it's hard not to always go back to the first book and the people who were mentioned and the people who weren't. So I think Theon in the end will do some kind of great deed or something to redeem himself. That's what I think. With Asha, I think, like you said, she is going to die to potentially save her brother.
Yeah.
Because
she failed doing it before and saw what happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think she feels guilty about that. I agree on that. I mean, she plays it off really well in this sample chapter that she doesn't care, but she cares. I mean, she knows she was worried that he was going to steal her what she thought was going to be her crown before Euron showed up. But I think now she realized Theon, in her mind, there's no chance he's going to be king of the Iron Islands. So now she just feels pity for him, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but let's see. That's like, what do you have to say here? Derek says that's like Davos chapter in the beginning where to put us near Stannis. Yeah, I think you have a point. Like the Theon chapters are to give us Stannis's point of view, like what's going on with Stannis, because he doesn't have, right? Stannis does not have a POV, which I always thought was weird. And George did say only pre-POV characters will have chapters in the last 2 books. There will be no one with a new chapter, which is quite a few people, though.
You know, Stannis is the only character in the series that has something that resembles the hero's journey. I don't know if you guys have read the hero's journey thing. It's the same one Luke Skywalker goes through.
Well,
The
now
hero,
you say that, yeah.
Yeah, because the hero gets a call to arms, which is book 2 when it starts, and he's given a magical weapon by a female, which is unlike in Star Wars, it's by Ben Kenobi. But he then goes to the underworld, I think, and the belly of the beast. The belly of the beast would be Blackwater Bay, and survives, and then returns defeat a mighty army, I think it was, or a mighty foe, and then
Mhm.
starts giving things back to where he came from, which is what he's doing now.
So wait a minute, what's the magic weapon?
His burning sword.
Oh, Stannis. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I almost think any Valyrian sword is though a magic
Yeah.
weapon. So,
Yeah.
and Bran's given a power. I kind of like, because Jason and the Argonauts is what I think of when I think the hero's journey.
No, it's an old mythological way of fighting.
Yeah, no, I know they have to. Their life's going pretty good, and then something happens to them, and they overcome it, and they're given a mission, and they go on a journey. They defeat a foe. They learn in the process, pretty much.
Yeah, it's I'm looking at it now. It's call to adventure, and then supernatural aid, and then they pass threshold guardian,
Right.
and then after that, the transformation begins. There's a mentor with them and a helper, Davos and Alessandre,
Right.
and there's a lot of challenges and temptations along the way. And then there's an abyss called death and rebirth.
Right.
And then there's transformation, atonement, and then return. It goes around and around. But the abyss with death and rebirth, I think, might be Blackwater Bay.
Right.
Because his army dies and he starts rebuilding it. And he's not the same after as before.
That's true.
In a way, because he's thinking more about his kingdom rather than him being king.
Right. Right. Exactly. And he, after he goes to the wall, though, he realizes that, which is kind of cool. He does state it. I thought about, instead of saving the kingdom, I wanted just the kingdom. I just want to say a real quick, Riff Mangoes. He is the mascot of the Fourth Wave. One of our favorite people. It's good to see you, my brother, here. Thank you for stopping in.
His atonement comes from defeating the wildlings.
But let me ask you a question. I mean, the sword's not magical. It is. I guess you're right. It's a glamour on it, so it is magical.
Well, it says.
Yeah, but Melisandre made that magical, though.
Right. It's an illusion.
And it's specified as supernatural aid. So, when he kills Renly.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely supernatural aid.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll have to keep an eye on that. That makes sense. I love, how I feel about Stannis. If it was up to me, it's him or Aegon the Sixth being kings. Both of them have a positive.
Aegon.
He is not Aegon. He is the true king. Even though the guys who we're going to talk about next did have a vision, and I'm a little pissed off that it kind of does also shoot down that he is a true Targaryen. But so I think we're good with these guys. I don't know what else to say about them. I hope I hope in Theon's chapters, I really do hope he gets some type of redemption. Not corny running at the other with a spear thinking he's going to kill him, but something in more of a personal level. The death of Ramsay, letting Ramsay know before he dies he is not Reek. Really retaining Theon Greyjoy, but Theon Stark. Because that's truly what his inner battle's about. Who he doesn't know who he is. And when he becomes Reek, it makes it even worse. He has no clue who he is.
And see, I don't want him necessarily to adopt that identity. I would rather him come into his own as a full Greyjoy.
Right.
And just take on that mantle. I don't know if he's capable of that at this point.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Well, he will be the only Greyjoy not dicking around.
That's cool. Oh man. Yeah, he definitely won't be dicking around. Stannis has
fucking Stig.
What the hell?
Stannis bans alcohol at feasts. Dropped. I do find the infinite new editions on the market quite amusing, considering how much time passed since the last book was out. Yeah, that's true. The ladies call him Stumpy.
Oh
Oh, I have the Clash of Kings.
I was just about to ask you that.
Yeah, I have the first two. Beautiful hardcovers, probably 30 illustrations in it, full page.
Yeah.
And the map is colored, and go get them. They're awesome. Book 3 will be out in November, I think. I'm trying to get all of them in this edition.
Yeah. I actually hope that if I ever get monetized in the next year, I will do giveaways of those type of books someday. But until then, please subscribe, share, like, comment. It really helps the channel. Tommy, thank God, brother. I was hoping you'd stop. I always love seeing Tommy in the chat. Good to see you, buddy.
It's not a chat without Tommy.
It really isn't. If Christy's in the stream, you definitely have to have Tommy in the chat. And when they're both in the chat, it's fire. On to Victorian, which I go back and forth on thinking who he is.
I think he's a useful idiot.
Yes, I agree.
For your own.
Absolutely agree.
Right. Well, Stig has a reading for this. Stig, let's start that off right.
Okay. This is from actually from Winds of Winter, one of the snippets from Victorian chapter, and they're on his ship, I believe, talking about the horn that he has with him that's said to control dragons, which is disturbing. So anyway, without further ado, I'll read. The brute crossed his arms and nodded. If it made the three feel braver to believe they had a choice, let them cling to that. Victorian cared little what they believed. They were only thralls. You will sail with me on Iron Victory, he told them, but you will not join the battle. Boy, you're the youngest. You'll sound the horn first. When the time comes, you will blow it long and hard. Sorry, long and loud. They say you are strong. Blow the horn until you are too weak to stand, until the last bit of breath has been squeezed from you, until your lungs are burning. Let the freedmen hear you in Marine, the slavers in Yonkai, the ghosts in Astapor. Let the monkeys shit themselves at the sound of it when it rolls across the Isle of Cedars. Then pass the horn along to the next man. Do you hear me? Do you know what to do? The boy and the bastard tugged their forelocks. The brute might have done the same, but he was bald. You may touch the horn, then go. They left him one by one, the three thralls. Then Mokoro, Victorian, would not let him take the hell horn. I will keep it here with me until it's needed. As you command, would you want me to bleed you? Victorian seized the dusky woman by the wrist and pulled her to him. She will do it. Go pray to your red god, light your fire, and tell me what you see. Mokoro's dark eyes seem to shine. I see dragons.
That is a good one you picked. It really is. Anybody want to start, or you want me to blurt out a couple things about it?
I got to say bastard twice.
Yeah, that was awesome. What do you think about Victorian, Stig?
I think he's a very cocky fellow. I think he's overconfident.
Yes.
And that's a very bad thing in this book series. Everyone who gets overconfident gets shot down brutally.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's going to happen to Victorian until late in book 6 or early 7. Like I said, I'm a very strong believer in the Ragnarok mythology, and in my opinion, Victarion represents a god named Rim, who's the captain of a ship called Naglfar, who is said to ferry hordes of giants into Asgard during Ragnarok. And that's literally what he's about to do. He's about to ferry Daenerys' army and dragons over to Westeros. So that fits very, very well.
It does, doesn't it? And I think you have a valid, I think you said it perfectly. He is very cocky. And I think he's being used by Euron. He's being used by Makoro. And he doesn't see it coming, which he believes, like a moron, that his brother would have. All right, Euron's probably the most sadistic, but one of the smartest characters in the book. And for him to give the dragon horn to his brother and say, "Go get my bride," he definitely knows that Victarion cannot use that horn for his own good. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way he can.
You know, and if you line up the timelines, when they blow that horn, that's when Daenerys' dragon freaks out.
Right. You're absolutely right. When they when they blow the horn at the King's Moot, that is when Quentin is trying to release the dragons. Yeah. And they freak out. They most likely kill him and they fly away. So that's a valid point. Now, one thing I find interesting is Euron may know what the runes on the dragon binder say. Victarion has no clue. Makuro knows how to read them, and I don't think he read them all of what it says. Right. The dragon horn only will bring a dragon to its master. It will only work for its master, and the master must it's not a sacrifice the way he puts it, and I can't remember exactly how he puts it, but there's like it's almost like it binds to the person. It does not allow, the person has to have some type of a sacrifice, but not like a blood. It doesn't have to be blood, but it has to be one. It has to be one. That's what it is. You have to win it's almost like a wand in Harry Potter. Like you have to win its allegiance.
Well, it does say you have to claim it with blood.
Oh, it does say blood. You're right. Okay.
Wouldn't that mean Targaryen blood though?
That's what I'm thinking.
Valerian, definitely.
So if you don't have it, it's gonna just eat you.
Right. I mean, does anybody think Euron cares about Daenerys, wants to marry her for any other reason than maybe to get her blood?
Her dragons.
You know? Well, that's it. Her dragons and maybe her blood.
Well,
absolutely not.
Right.
I can give you all my Euron theory though. If you
we'll get when we start Euron, definitely.
Oh, thought we were right now.
Yeah, no, we're gonna. I know it seems like Victarion doesn't have a lot, but Victarion, it's funny the differences. Victarion is this, large, menacing looking but respected warrior. Euron is a cold, calculating, well liked, but no one knows his true take on anything. Where you have Victarion believes in his people's beliefs, like the old ways, and believes in the drowned god. You have Euron, who has gone beyond that, and he uses those things. He's able to see it as like an outside person, and he uses that against his own people. It's kind of funny how. Yeah, go ahead, Jane.
I was going to say that's the problem. We know what happens with honorable people in this story. They always get outplayed and outmaneuvered and used as a tool. And that seems to be exactly what's happening here. And I do think Euron is using him, but I think Makoro is probably more so. And we don't really know who this guy is or what his motivation is. And I don't think that Victarion is asking enough questions or vetting this guy before
Right,
listening to him.
and don't forget the history these two have. You know, Victorian's favorite salt wife was most likely raped. Some people say seduced, but most likely raped by Euron, because that's what he does. He uses sex as a weapon, and to keep his honor, Victorian had to murder her, beat her to death himself.
Right.
Which is crazy, but in their culture, that's how you keep your honor. And when he went to his brother Balon to ask him, you have to kill him for this, Balon was, the Iron Islands is so against kinslaying, which again blows my mind for what Euron has done. He wouldn't allow it. So what he did was, you are exiled till my death, which was a dumb freaking thing to say, but you're exiled. And then the day after Balon dies, the Silent comes into port, kind of quinky dink. So Victorian hates Euron with a freaking passion. And I just want to say quick, Darren Anderson, really glad to see you, brother. And yes, I'm glad we can help people, put horns together. Derek C, Riff Mangos again. I love seeing you in the chat, my brother. And then Derek C says, your brother did not sound the horn, nor must you. And that's McCluro. I always screw that guy's name up, saying that to him. So, along their journey going through, which is another thing I find kind of funny, Victorian, Iron Islanders seem like pirates. That's what they are. They're like a mix between Vikings and pirates. And he's talking about disguising the ships. Do not let them see your flag until the last second. Attack, kill as many as you can. This is going to be a great day for us. He's all stoked about it. So with him, he's hiding who he is. On the flip side, Euron, he wants everyone to know what boat that is, who that is. His Silent is well known. Everyone knows that's his boat with a group of mutes on it. You know what I mean? Like, that is his boat. This guy doesn't care
so much of his culture anyway, though. I mean, Euron seems to really hate who he is and where he came from. He wants to be something else. And I think that's what's driving a lot of what he's doing. Yeah.
I mean, really, I don't have a lot to say about Victorian. All I know is that I feel like McCluro, pretty much told him he has glory in his future, which is a glorious death, I think.
Right.
And the horn is going to be his downfall. And if not that, this priest really, I mean, when we first meet him, he's with Tyrion before a storm knocks him overboard on his way to help Dany. Why would a R'hllor priest help this guy, take Dany when Dany's their savior?
And it also reminds me of the priestess who was with Dany and who was responsible for her child dying and her husband dying. You sort of see parallels there with this priest, who I think is going to ultimately be or contribute to Victorian's downfall as well.
Well, don't forget, he killed, the maester disappeared that he had, right? He cured his arm, made it even stronger, even though it's black and charred. But yet the maester, never came back out. So he's doing sacrifices. You're right. I think he's getting set up not just by his brother, but by the priest of R'hllor to make sure Dany survives and is still the Azor Ahai character he believes her to be.
There's also a theory that he's glamoring, that what we see isn't exactly what he looks like.
McClure? Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that theory. Give me a little more. Why would he be doing that? Is he somebody we might know, or?
Right. That's the idea, is that he.
Marwyn. Yes, I did hear that. It might be Marwyn. Okay. Because he needed a boat. He needed a ride. Okay. Yeah. No. I've heard that one. I forgot about that. That's a valid point too. He knows all these. He was in his shy also. He might know these techniques, read the ruins, all that type of stuff. That's actually a valid point. I didn't think about that until you just said it. Really, I don't have much more to say about him. Does anybody else? Because Euron's really the meat of everything I wanted to talk about.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, the dude is sinister, you know? So anybody have last words?
No, I don't think. I think Victarion's role in the end is to ferry Daenerys' armies to Westeros.
And is that like no, I'm thinking Greek. And what god was that again? Or what
Rim.
part of Ragnarok was that again?
Oh, it's only mentioned in a snippet, really.
Mm-hmm.
It said that a god named Rim, Hrym, will ferry the giants into Asgard for the final battle.
Oh wow. As in the ice giants, right?
In this case, it's fire giants.
Yeah, fire giants, right?
It didn't specify fire or ice, but
Or could it be the other way? Because McCloro is supposedly a very tall, bulking man. You never know. It might be him bringing him to Daenerys. So it could be both ways.
no,
Both
it's
travels across and back.
Westeros in this case is Asgard.
True. That's true.
The Bifrost Bridge is the wall,
Right.
which gets
So
destroyed before Ragnarok. Oh, during the final battle, I mean.
Right. Oh, that's so cool. All right, so let's get into Euron, and I got a snippet again from The Winds of Winter. So spoilers if you don't want to see it or read it. Should have said that probably the first time. And we have this sadistic bastard. So let's see. So this is Euron has his brother, the Dampfir, Aeron Greyjoy, in a cell, torturing him. His legs are like the water keeps coming up and swelling up his legs. And I mean, the dude has just been through a lot. Let's just put it that way. And he's talking about his past with him. And he says, actually, let me just go back just a hair more. And a few days later, as her hull shuddered in the grip of some storm, the crow's eye came below again, lantern in hand. This time his other hand held a dagger. Still praying, priest? Your God has forsaken you. He's a little weak, so I'm going to, you're wrong. It was me who taught you how to pray, little brother. Have you forgotten? I would visit your bedchamber at night when I had too much to drink. You shared a room with Jurgen high up in the sea tower. I could hear you praying from outside the door. I always wondered, were you praying that I would choose you or that I would pass you by? Euron pressed the knife to Aeron's throat. Pray to me, beg me to end your torment, and I will. Not even you would dare, said the Dampfir. I am your brother. No more is the more accuser than a kinslayer, accursed, than a kingslayer. And yet I wear a crown and you rot in chains. How is it that your drowned God allows that when I have killed 3 brothers? Aeron could only gap at him. 3? Well, if you count half brothers. Do you remember the little Robin? Wretched creature. Do you remember that big head of his, how soft it was? All he could do was mew and shit. He was my second. Harlan was my first. All I had to do was pinch his nose shut. The grayscale had turned his mouth to stone, so he could not cry out, but his eyes grew frantic as he died. They begged me. When the life went out of them, I went out and pissed into the sea, waiting for the god to strike me down. None did. And I'm going to leave it at that. You can read the rest if you want. I just found that to be really cool. He pretty much, as a kid, threatened the gods. That was his thing. He decided to threaten the gods. And when he realized that the gods would not do anything to him after the first murder of his brother, kinslaying, which is, one of the worst things you could do for an island, for a drowned god believer, he realized there were no gods. There's a couple other things I want to go over, but what do you think about him raping his brothers?
You shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Sick bastard.
He was a really screwed up kid.
Real messed up. You know, in this chapter too, he's drinking shade of the evening. His lips are all purple. His brother, he's forcing him to drink it to have these crazy visions. And I'll bring that up later because I have the attachment to the other. But Euron, you know, we believe he's on his way to Old Town to sack Old Town or to do some crazy sacrifice. He has warlocks from Karth. He has septas and septons. He has a drowned god priest. He has other priests speaking weird tongues. Like he's getting all these holy men together for something horrible.
To break all of the rules.
All at once to create some sacrifice. Now, could that be the sacrifice that it takes not to raise a kraken, which a lot of people believe, but to initiate what the horn, the dragon binder needs to bind to a dragon? Because think about it, you would need a great sacrifice for that, to take it away from a Targaryen. Maybe a Targaryen only needed, you know, the pyre, but for someone who is not a Targaryen to win that dragon over, maybe he believes he needs this great sacrifice. What do you guys think?
I think if that's what he believes, it's going to fail. I think all of these, the myths associated with a non-Targaryen or a non-Valyrian controlling a dragon, it's just false. It's just all make-believe. But you have these people sacrificing or risking their lives and sacrificing others to try to achieve it. It's not going to happen.
Right. I love this. I'm sorry, Justice League of Religions.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Like he believes he's beyond what he really most likely is. You know, Euron is one of the crazier characters. He set his brothers out when they decided to attack Robert and claim Baelon as king. You know, Victorian attacked the mainland. Baelon did what he did, and he disappeared. Crow's Eye it always seems like he was always in the background playing people like a puppet. He does the same thing at the Shield Islands when he takes those over, and then he offers them as gifts to his men, knowing that they're going to die when the mainland comes to take it over again. But in the eyes of his people, he's giving them what he told them. I'm giving you the world, you know? He's a very sadistic bastard. He is a psychopath. I believe.
I do think that there must have been some sort of trauma in his childhood that led to all of this. And that's why I think he hates his culture and every other one and the religions as well, because they didn't protect him. The drowned god didn't protect him when he was a child. Didn't protect his siblings as he killed them.
Right.
And so he's just going to push that envelope to see what he can get away with.
Right.
What are all of the gods going to allow him to get away with at this point?
Right. And does he believe he will become a god? Because that's what it feels like.
Ironic, touching on the Ragnarok thing again.
Please.
Like I said before, before Ragnarok, Odin and Thor dies. Odin, in many of the old myths, were called the Mad King. So that's Odin, right? The Mad King.
Right.
When Ragnarok starts, though, old heroes return.
Right.
Which is Odin and Thor. Odin, I think, returns in the shape of Euron, because Odin has one eye during Ragnarok. So has Euron. And he's described as the maddest of them all, and he seems to think he's above the gods, right? Well, Odin is the All-Father. He is above the gods.
Yeah. I mean, think about this.
He's also tied to crows now. Crows and ravens. Which is very much Odin.
you know, I love that stuff. We are, for everybody in the chat, that's what our topic will be next week. Stig is going to take the lead, and we are going to go through Stig's theory of the Ragnarok versus, the Ragnarok theory with Game of Thrones, which
Yeah, because
I'm so excited for.
Odin uses, well, in most of the myths, he uses ravens. He sends out ravens into the world, two of them, to serve as his missing eye, right? So
Right.
he sees through the ravens. In some of the stories, he also uses crows. Euron crow's eye.
Yeah, Euron's crow.
right.
I mean, it's perfect. You know, and the funny thing is with Euron, he has his happy blue laughing eye, they call it, that people see, that they all fall for. And underneath that patch, he has the obsidian, others, magical. He's the most, since the beginning of the book, I think in this Forsaken chapter, it's the most like magical, psychedelic chapter we've had, which I personally think is the best chapter we had so far. And this is only people writing it from memory of what George read out loud, which I find to be really cool. And my brother is in the chat. I love you, Script Doctor.
I think George Martin said that as the story progresses, there will be more magic and more stuff like this.
Right.
So that might be why that is. Because in the first book, there's almost no magic, I think.
Right. I mean, the man has a Valerian suit of armor, black with runes all over it. He says he's been to the ruins of Valeria. He says he's walked in Ashai. I mean, he has been where the most magic has happened in the world. And he came back a different person. He came back somebody who, again, like Jayne said, he is definitely uses his knowledge of his culture, but he doesn't believe anything they believe. He just uses what he knows of their culture to manipulate people to do what he wants. He doesn't keep any of his spoils. He gives it all to his men because it means nothing to him.
Yeah.
Power. The power he's trying to get to become a god means something to him. And what I really find very interesting with him is a couple of his comments about, as a boy, I dreamt of flying. And the maester, when I woke, I told the maester about jumping off the highest tower and flying. And he says, boys and men can't fly, something to that effect. What I find very interesting about that is the connection to Bloodraven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he also says, "I am the last. I am the storm. I'm the first storm and the last."
Right.
That's one of his most famous quotes.
Right. Well, he believes he's the storm god, doesn't he? I think that's how I feel. And who is the greatest? The storm god's greatest foe is the drown god. You know, they battle in the histories. So I find that to be really interesting. The people made him their king, and truthfully he believes that he's their destruction. He's the god that wants to destroy them. I find that to be really interesting too. But the theory is that, when Bloodraven says to Bran, I've been waiting for you for so long, Brandon Stark, it doesn't mean that he was the only one he tried. A lot of people believe that one of his first attempts to find the next Green Seer was Euron. And there are some parallels, as a boy, the same dreams, the same belief that he could fly. The only difference is that Euron wanted it. Bran was forced upon it. It was forced upon him. It was thrusted upon him. And if Bloodraven is doing it for all the right reasons, I can see why he didn't choose Euron, because he's a freaking psycho. But if he's doing it for all the wrong reasons, he might have known he'd set Euron on this path of destruction to be the leader of the Great Other.
Something also struck me that if the Ragnarok thing is true, right, then Euron is based on Odin, which is the biggest of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
George Martin has characters all through the story say the gods are cruel.
Right.
So Euron and the Mad King are the cruelest of both of them all, right?
Right. The greatest gods.
Yeah.
And
Biggest
if he
shit.
is the storm god, I mean, the storm god is cruel. I mean, it kills people. That's what it brings down fury to sailors, and
Yeah.
it's a valid point, man. So does anybody, what is his grand scheme? Where is he going to hit? Is he going to hit Old Town? Or is that just what he wants people to believe he's going to do?
Well, I do have my theory, which I can read now if you wish. But might, if I'm right, shed some light on it.
Yeah, please do.
Well, it's I think Euron and Dario are the same person. Because Euron knows, he's been to Essos plenty of times, and I do believe he hints at that he paid for Balon's death with a dragon egg.
Well, that's what people believe, yes.
Yeah. So he has had contact with the Faceless Man.
Yeah, and it could be Jack and Haggard.
Yeah, could be. But in the I think it's in the House of the Undying, Daenerys has said she will meet 3 men: one to love, which is Drogo, one to bed, which is Hisdar, and one to dread, which I believe is Euron Greyjoy.
Okay.
And that 3rd man is said to have blue lips, like Euron.
Right. Euron does have the blue lips. And
Yeah.
don't forget, she also, Quaithe comes to her and warns her. And one of the warning is the pale, dead-looking guy on a bow of a ship. Who, what is he doing? He's bounding these almost dead, tortured people,
Right.
and himself is out on the bow of the ship. So
You have to remember, Euron, like when we go into the Winds of Winter, he has his brother Aerion, I think I'm saying that correctly, and the Philia Flowers, the one
that poor,
who's
that poor girl.
pregnant. He has her bound and tied to the ship.
Yes. Didn't he sew her mouth shut?
I think he cut out her tongue.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah,
other
go
thing though is that Dario is never around. Never around Daenerys when Euron is on the Iron Islands, and vice versa.
I know that's a cool one.
Yeah, and the timeline lines up. And Dario is the leader of the Storm Crows. Euron's nickname is Crow's Eye, but he keeps saying, "I am the Storm."
Right.
So you have Storm and Crow right there. And the prow of Euron's ship is identical to the hilt of Dario's dagger.
Oh yeah, the lady, right?
Yes, and if you look at the TV show, I think they abandoned this idea on the TV show. But if you bring up the link I posted, which was one of the first pictures of Euron, the first artwork, I think it's from a board game.
All right, hold on one second. Let's see if it loads for me.
Oh, let's take a look at this.
Yeah.
Second, but we will try. Oh wow, that loaded quick! Yay! Here we go.
I mean, doesn't this look like the guy who replaced the Dario actor?
It does.
Yeah, he looks a lot like him. They do resemble each other, and Dario could easily, he supposedly has blue dye in his hair. He could easily wash that out,
Yeah, and the guy who played Dario on the show was 33 when he was cast, which is the same age as Euron is in the books.
A lot of people believe this, man.
Yeah, and Euron is very confident that Daenerys will marry her for apparently no good reason, but Dario certainly has a chance. And in the show, Dario captured 93 ships for Daenerys. In the books, Euron gives Victarion 93 ships that he's just gotten a hold of to take with him to Marine. So that it's odd that the numbers line up. And in the books, they also say that all of Euron's gifts are poisonous. And the first thing Dario gives Daenerys is a poisonous flower.
Mm-hmm.
And Euron has blue lips. Dario has a blue beard. So I'm guessing he shaves the beard off. And one problem with this, though, is the travel time. But Euron, he has a red priest with him. And, a warlock.
Yeah,
And,
he has 3.
Yeah, and he keeps painting his deck with blood. That would imply blood magic, right?
Well, he's also the storm god. He can get the winds behind him, like.
And another thing is that Daenerys, I think it was Quaithe that said this, that she would be betrayed 3 times.
Yes.
And one of the times would be for gold. I think it's very suspicious that the word Euron is the Welsh word for gold.
Right. Wow.
I don't think that's and the word for Dario is Latin for rich.
Damn.
Dude, I never believed that at all. You just opened the door a little bit with just knowing that. I never believed it, but the names mean everything in this story, doesn't it?
Yeah. Just wait till I get to Sansa.
Oh, she'll be coming. Just a couple things real quick. There'll be some questions. There were some questions. Yeah. Nagi Hill is where they have or Naga was the beast where they have their Kingsmoot. It's white looking like ribs, but a lot of people say that those could be old weirwood trees that just look, bent and withered and died and petrified to look like bones of a sea creature. There was another question in the chat. The drown priests, what they do is they do drown you. You die and then they resuscitate you. They just give you CPR and you come back. So it's a quick death. You do die. So, that's where they get their saying, you die, but come back stronger type saying. I forget it exactly.
What is dead, but may never, what is dead, but may never, fuck, I forgot it.
What is dead may never die. What is dead may never die. That's
come on, Christy, get your shit together.
Yeah, you are my editor. Come on.
Yeah. Jayne would never.
What's the second part of that, Derek?
Derek, see what's the second part stronger.
Oh, there you go. God damn it, Jayne, that's awesome. So
maybe chose a damn diff with that.
Man, that's awesome. So what do you guys think other than, all right, so he could be Dario. I've never believed that ever. I always thought that was the most tinfoil one, but you just gave me the names mean a lot.
Yeah,
it was the travel time that had me not
same here
really believing it, but that, yeah.
I mean, look at the picture though. It's like a copy of the actor that played Dario.
And truthfully, think about this too. George, one chapter could be, let's just say today, and the next chapter is 3 weeks ago, and then the next chapter is the day after today. Like his timelines aren't always like chapter by chapter perfect. And he's admitted to that. He says, sometimes something will happen for about 4 or 5 chapters, and then the next chapter, that person's 4 chapters back in the timeline. So who's to say he didn't have enough time to travel? That's a good one.
Agreed.
So I believe now you got me thinking about this Dario thing. I do believe he's had communication with Bloodraven. Bloodraven thought he was the one, realized he wasn't, and went to Bran. I think Euron is trying to, because he does state somewhere in the books that that he's not doing it just for himself. He's doing it to please something else. And I think
Quick
that's the
question.
great other. Yeah, go ahead.
So, okay, if Bloodraven did try, I don't know that he necessarily would have looked into Euron and saw maybe this isn't the right guy. What if what happened was that he did try him and it's what broke him? You know, if you remember in Bran's vision, he saw other children's or other people's bones, other people who perhaps failed this test of Bloodraven. What if Euron was one of those who failed the test and consequently it broke him mentally and emotionally?
And his eye, lost his eye.
Right, exactly.
I have an idea though. What if he did die and was raised the same way Melisandre was raised? So he's basically a fire white.
Or a white, like from the children, more like a cold hands.
Yeah, because they tend to be, well, the fire whites in particular tend to be obsessed with their last goals, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Like Lady Stoneheart is a good example of that. She's just, all she thinks about is revenge. That's it. So
him being a god,
if he wanted to be a god and then he actually died from the drowning and came back a bit enhanced, like Lady Stoneheart. I don't know. It's something to think about.
Yeah. Adam Price really is focused on this, the ritual of dying and coming back. And he has a valid point here. Is it implied how much impact on being brought back to life has on a personality? Would be significant that all the Ironborn are people brought back to life. And everyone who's brought back to life in this story comes back something different. So why not these people that are being drowned? Yes, they're only dying for a moment, but they're dying. They're dead. They have to be resuscitated. Water out of their
death, though.
It's still death.
What about Theon? As soon as he gets brought back to life, he's all about the Greyjoys and betrays the Starks.
Oh yeah, well, because he does that at the islands.
Yeah. I don't know.
Is it the drowned god that's affecting?
Is it right? Like when they die, does he do something? Because you're doing it in the water of your god. You do it in the ocean. You suck in salt water till you die, and then you're pretty much CPR'd back to life.
Yeah. So what if something happens in between the CPR and the death? We don't know.
Could be. We don't know, and they may not remember.
It's a bit of a stretch though, but Theon is completely torn after that. That's when he starts to do whatever he can.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, don't forget, like he's saying, Beric was seemed pretty normal. He was brought back like 9 times, but it was right away. Lady Stoneheart was days later. But Beric, anytime they asked him, he saw nothing. He remembers nothing about being dead. So maybe these people something happens to them, but when they come back, they have no recollection of what was told to them, what knowledge they learned, what their focus is. But they all, Iron Island people that believe in the drowned god. There's one house that doesn't, they're first men. But what if that's why they all believe in the old ways? We must go back. They always want to go back to the Reaving, go back to this, go back to that. Never want to try something new.
Well, so far in the story, though, the religions that has to do with raising the dead in some way or human sacrifice are the old gods.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't think we know enough about it, but it's still a little theory to keep in mind.
Right. It's something to think about. It definitely is. I like that. I think he is going to be our last and greatest antagonist of mankind. Yes, there might be something that happens after the long night battle where it's more political at the very end battles, but someone as twisted as Ramsay or Joffrey, this is the culmination of that. Because he is calculating. he is as violent or even more violent and warped as Ramsay, but smarter. You know, because he can disguise it better than Ramsay. You know what I mean? So like he could trick people into believing he's the right person to be. He already did, the right person to be king. He's seen the world. He knows how to manipulate people. How far does he go?
I think Euron will be there at the final battle because he keeps saying he is the last storm. So I think he'll be there in book 7.
Snowstorm?
No clue.
Right? It could be any type of storm.
Yeah.
They bring the cold. They bring the cold and the snow. So he could. I really think he has a lot to do with the Great Other. I think that's who he.
I agree.
Yeah, he has seen that. He drinks so much of the Nightshade, and when you're reading the Forsaken chapter, which, if you're going to spoil any of them, read that chapter. He discuss, you know, Aaron has never taken it before, and when he's given it, he has visions of him in that black armor, but yet he's never seen the armor before until the end of that chapter when he's brought up and bound up on the bow. His brother's in that armor. So this stuff gives you a lot of visions. I mean, Dany, you know, she drank it, had visions. What's to say he's drank so much he knows, you know, a lot of what's coming and is part of it now.
Mm-hmm.
Or some people I've heard believe he might be think about it, if he did have that moment with Bloodraven, then he has the ability to be a skin changer. And what happens with Varamir's six skins when he tries to take that woman? When he's dying and dead, he tries to jump into the female. What does she do? Anyone?
Doesn't she basically collapse within herself? I mean, like rejects him?
Yes.
If I remember correctly.
Right? And then what's she doing physically to herself? She bites her own tongue off.
Oh,
what does everyone on his ship not have?
A tongue.
Right. So who's to say he hasn't jumped into them? Or, you know, maybe he physically chops them off, but I feel like that's some type of nod George is giving us to that. He has the ability to warg into people, and that this is why this crew of people don't ever go against him, because they're scared he'll be in their mind hearing what they're going to say. You know, maybe he did jump into some of them. They bit their own tongues off. I don't know, but it's something that I've wondered, and I've heard others. If you're going to ever check out anybody's live stream, please watch mine to the end. But if you've not checked out the channel Joe Magician is one of my favorite A Song of Ice and Fire YouTubers. If anyone knows him, tell him I said that, because he is freaking awesome. And he, in one of his, he has a Euron chapter, and that was brought up, and it just hit me like, wow, that's really, really smart. You know, there's some validity that George in that, because George always does like mirror images of people, or inverted images of people from people of the past, or people, you know, on the other side of the world. You know, Dany and John kind of mirror each other in a way. It's just something to think about.
Agree.
And how bad did they fuck him up in the show?
Oh boy.
For a second, everyone in the chat, if you'd like to bitch with us, please do. I can't believe what they did to this character in the show. And I hear the defenders say, well, he's a mixture of Victorian and him. Why? Because he swung an axe?
I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
First of all, he has 2 eyes. That pisses me off. Second of all, it's just not as deep of a character as, I mean, George has written someone who is just, he's scary. It's a scary guy to read about.
Wow, this guy's a doc, basically.
I was gonna say I always say he's the hot topic pirate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I forget where I heard that from, but it's just ever since I saw him, I don't remember seeing him in season 5. Was he in
No,
season 5 or season 6?
It was either the very end or the very beginning when Balon
Yeah.
died. You know,
Yeah,
and when and his introduction was actually really cool.
Yeah, that was good. You know, they started out well, but it went down very quickly.
Teresa has it smart. He's a buffoon.
I was
in the
just about to
show.
highlight that. Oh, it moved on me. Yeah, definitely. Oh, what does Tommy have to say? I love hearing. I would put my 2 cents in worth, but I am a natural born hater, aka the lonely Karen banter and the water walkway crew. I don't. Tommy,
Damn it, Tommy.
I love you, man. All right, we got, and the actor was an over actor, Jim Carrey level. Yeah, totally. He overacted everything because they gave him nothing. They gave the dude nothing, and the whole
superficial.
Right, and the whole like him and he just ended up on the beach where, you know, Jamie's gonna be, and why does he care? You know, like I killed Jamie Lannister. Who gives a shit? I don't know.
I will say the way he did the deliveries, where it's like he has 1,000 ships in like 2 good hands.
Yeah.
Okay, that shit was funny.
He was good. He was a good actor
for what he had, absolutely.
But he wasn't.
I want to.
No.
I want to say a lot of the actors haven't really come out and said how they really feel to a certain extent what I've noticed. You have Amelia, I was going to say Cersei, Lena, Nikolai, whatever.
Yeah,
you
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. You have some of them, but I don't remember him saying any interviews about how he really feels.
I did hear him just say his view on the character, but it had nothing to line up with their view. They just, again, like Dorne, they dropped the ball. And I think this is a huge disservice to this character, because if you've never read the books and now you're going through it, you're going to be like, oh, like you'll now realize how much worse that show was because of it. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I can't picture him as Euron when I read the books.
Right. Not at all.
Or even when I listen, I can't picture it at all.
Yeah. I actually picture kind of this guy, but even more older and beaten and bluer lips. You know what I mean? Like just ready to go. I don't know. Like just warped. But they said there's another thing. That was brought up, that when people saw him, he looked better than when he left. He looked younger. So he might be using a glamour himself. Again, the Dario one. I mean, that he could be glamoring himself to Dany and glamoring himself even to look younger and more, stronger because he's the older brother of Victarion and he looks younger than him. So there's a lot.
Wasn't the glamour tied to a necklace?
Yeah.
So
maybe ruby.
Maybe it's the dagger.
Could be the dagger. Yeah.
I don't know.
Could the obsidian eye be considered a gem of some sort?
Oh yes.
Obsidian.
Yeah.
He could be using that. And when he's Dario, it looks like a normal eye. You got me stuck on this now, because I really never put more than a thought about it, and now I can't stop thinking about it.
It would be a hell of a twist.
It would.
You know why it would be such a hell of a twist? Because so many people just knocked it straight down. You know what I mean? Most people were just like, "Nah, that's impossible."
Well, it does line up with the timeline. Because Dario is suspiciously away whenever Euron is on the Iron Islands and vice versa.
Right.
But don't know. Worst case scenario, it's nothing.
Yeah, you're right. It could be nothing, but it's good. It's cool to think about. Does anybody have anything left on, let's just say, the house in a whole? Who will make it through the book? Do you think anybody's story? Who's the most I mean, probably Euron, but the biggest effect on the story, who will, maybe live more than we thought at the beginning of this, stream? What do you think?
I think.
No, really, guys, silence is golden.
I didn't know who wanted to go first.
I think at the end of the story, Victarion and Euron will be dead. I don't have high hopes for Theon and Asha either, but that's the thing with the books, though, because anyone can die.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's the beauty of the books. Anyone can die.
Yeah, I won't be shocked if any of the Greyjoys die.
Well, would you be shocked if they all make it?
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Chris? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the same thing. I would be shocked if any of them live. I wouldn't be shocked if any of them didn't live. I would be more shocked if 2 or more actually survived.
Okay.
I think Victarion, though, is a given. He's going to croak eventually.
Right. Probably quickly.
Yeah. He is I feel bad for that bastard, but he's a puppet for Euron. And maybe the Red Priest too. I think I like the Marwyn one. I like that idea. It's Marwyn. But if it's not Marwyn, it's still a Red Priest of R'hllor is not going to help a drowned god disciple. Even though he might actually convert him over you would think he would convert him over, but that moment you read where he was like, he grabbed the woman close to him and said, no, she'll tend to it, not allowing him to touch him again. There's definitely a mistrust there, more than I thought at first. But when you just read that, Stig, earlier, that kind of made me think maybe he's not as much of a blind to what maybe Makoro is trying to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. This was a fun one for me, though.
If it's Marwyn, though, that ties the whole thing to Dorne.
Again, Dorne. Dorne's everywhere.
Dorne, yeah.
Dorne is everywhere.
In every plot.
They really are.
And Marwyn was known for doing some really forbidden dark magic shit.
Yeah. I mean, most maesters won't even talk to him.
Yeah.
He's been to a shy also.
Maybe that's where he met Euron.
Oh, man. That's valid, dude. I mean, Euron does say he walked it to, he's been to a shy. He walked through it. Something, I feel like everyone's close to understanding Euron, but we just have no clue. That's kind of like how I feel about him.
Also, it would fit with Euron's ship being basically painted in blood every day. I'm not surprised if it has anything to do with Euron cutting the tongues out of his slaves as well.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea that him being a green seer, he does that so they can't tell anybody what he does. But because why would these it's one man versus that's the fear he has in these guys. The one man versus all these mutes in the middle of the ocean. They don't just the cruelty of him, they don't overthrow him. I feel like he has some telepathic ability that makes them fear him overthrowing them.
Oh, it might not even be that. It could be just that they're scared shitless of him and Makoro.
Right. I don't know. It's good stuff to think about, everybody. But we can start wrapping this up. I know people have to be other places, and I just appreciate everybody coming. I love it. I could talk about this for hours. I'm shocked we didn't go anywhere else, though, really too far. Usually we do.
Me too.
I'm actually really shocked by that. we stuck pretty much close to what we planned on doing with the Greyjoys. That's a first for us. So cheers to you all. Again, to the chat, thank you everybody for showing up. Please, share this out. If you know anybody who's into the books or was into the show and you want to get them into the books, please share out the streams and the videos. It'll help the channel grow. I kind of stagnant at 700. I really don't care, but I do. It's kind of a cheesy thing, but if you can, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Little thing that might be important. The name Marwyn, right, means mariner.
What?
Yeah.
And what? Oh, and is it like, can I have the country of origin? Yeah, kind of like spelling bee.
It's an old Teutonic one, medieval name.
Really?
Yeah, it means mariner.
Mariner.
Damn.
Yeah. Marwyn. Go ahead. Don't forget the name of the priest starts with an M too. I always say his name wrong, but it's close to Marwyn.
Yeah, but the word means mariner.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. Who's the real seafaring people? The Iron Islands.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, we don't know with the Maesters, we don't know where he's from originally. No. He could be from the Iron Islands.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever state that in any of the chapters with Sam. So who's to say he's not an Iron Islander originally? Because there is a family. Oh no, they do the old gods. The Balon's father did try to bring the gods of the Seven though to the Iron Islands. So there might be still people that believed it. He's an older guy, probably older than when Balon's father died. So who's to say he wasn't sent there as to become a priest or a maester?
Well, if he believes in the old gods, he could have just become a maester to learn dark arts because
right. A maester is not the religion. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Because he certainly didn't go there to serve. He went there to learn dark shit.
Right.
And if he's like a servant of the other or something, and he follows the old gods, that would fit.
No, that's really cool, man. I didn't think about that.
He could also be half and half. Their salt wives were often from places they raided.
That's true.
Yeah. We are deep. We're deep in it, people.
Oh, he's very tall, isn't he?
He said,
"Yeah." That's funny.
Is he as tall as Hodor though?
Which one?
Marwyn.
He's a tall dude. He's a big dude.
Yeah, so is Makoro.
Yes, Makaro's big too. Marwyn, Makoro. I kind of like it. Maybe. All right, so let's say first say goodbye to Christy because I don't think we're jumping off anytime.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I need to go on another stream.
Yeah. No worries. No worries.
I was gonna say, please subscribe to Jayne Theory and Sporky News podcast if you haven't already, and even subscribe to Stig's channel. Also,
yeah, he does have one.
So he does have one.
Yes, he does.
So, but guys, this has been great. Let me know what we're going to be talking about next week. I will keep the tab open so you'll still have the hours.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't forget, we're talking Ragnarok next week.
Ooh, send me my homework. Put it in the chat what I need to look at.
Stig will, because it's his lead next week.
Oh, here we go.
I'll be gentle, darling.
On that, I bid you adieu.
Yes, I give you an early congratulations because I know you're going to get it. So good luck.
Thank you.
And please subscribe to Christy, everybody. Have a great night, buddy.
All right.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, that bitch is gone. All right, so no, just kidding. We always do that. We're just playing, people. We love each other. So, all right. Well, God, man, I feel like there's more to talk about, but I sometimes when we get on these streams, we start saying other things, and I gotta really jot down some notes. One of these
Yeah,
days.
I actually had a few notes for this one about the Euron Dario thing.
Anything you didn't bring up?
No, I think I got most of it, but
Do you feel strongly about that?
65%.
Wow.
Yeah, because he must have a plan other than send ships to Marine.
Right.
He's been all over Essos. He knows the place. He knows the customs. Same as Dario.
And do we know if he's definitely headed to Old Town? That's what people think. That's what he told them.
He could be.
He could be following his brother, though.
Yeah.
You know, he could end up in Marine also and be like, hey,
Or first.
yeah. But think about it. Think about this. That also strengthens that. The whole time, Danny's like, I wish I could be with Dario, but he's not high enough class. He's not high enough this. I got to marry, someone because of this or that.
Mm-hmm.
Now she finds out the whole time he was actually a king.
Yeah, and if he marries her, he has a claim to the throne.
Right, which he wants. Well, he says he wants, but
he wants for his own purpose.
He wants for his own purpose, exactly. But then how hard would it be him to just easily be like, look, I had to pretend to be a pauper, but I am a king. I am legitimate enough for you to marry. And she could be like, oh, I can have my cake and eat it too. Budding. And then she's screwed. That'll be one of her last betrayals or her last betrayal.
And he could easily pull that off because I could see her thinking that was really attractive because he was very humble, and it came across as lower class, so that she would get to love him for who he is, and not his title.
Play that, he would totally play that up.
And Euron is very confident in the fact that he's going to marry Daenerys, but he never says why.
Right. He it's not like even he thinks, he knows in his crow's eye, he knows he's going to marry her. So, and then think about it. The shade of the evening makes your lips blue, but yet Dario always has like colored blue is always in the beard. I think it's tricolored though, but blue is always there. His hair is blue. That's what it is. His hair is blue. So why not? Why not that be him? God, that's good stuff, man. I like it. Any last words, guys? Jayne?
No, the only thing I would say is I do think that Euron is going to last until the end. What role he'll play, I'm not exactly sure just yet, but I do think that he and Theon will make it. I think all of the other Greyjoys are gonna come up short.
The end of this book?
Yes.
Into winter or the end of the story?
I think Winds of Winter. We're gonna start narrowing it down. Yeah.
Yeah, Winds of Winter. I agree with you. I definitely agree with you on that.
I think Theon might commit suicide.
What?
Yeah.
Do you think like straight up suicide or like suicide by like
sacrifice?
Sacrifice. Suicide by copping away.
Because he's so damaged, and I think I'm not. Oh yes, Njord, the sea god, I believe he's based on. Njord was a part of a civil war between gods, right? Sea gods and the others, and the sea gods lost.
Mm-hmm.
Njord got sentenced to live in the mountains with the wolves for 9 years. Theon stays for 9 years with the Starks.
Wow.
He's also described as a genderless god and a pervert.
What?
Which also fits with Theon. And he then goes to hell and back.
Oh my God.
Which is when he becomes Reek, right?
Yeah.
But later he hangs himself.
He might hang himself from the weirwood. Dude.
Could be. But it fits so well with Theon, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
But
90 years with the wolves, that's spot on. That's exactly what happens.
It fits, but it does make me wonder, and I don't remember if their culture has a particular view on that.
What suicide?
Yeah.
I think it's considered cowardly, and you won't end up in the halls of the Drowned God. Definitely think that is part of it. But yeah, I can see Theon caring about that as he gets Theon back. But has he ever really been, he did do the Drowned God ritual, but he's been with the Starks for so long. Does it mean that much to him?
Yeah. And if anyone is a prime candidate for suicide, it's Theon.
I just think he's going to redeem himself at some point, but then that was before I heard this. So,
right.
I don't know anymore.
I know Tommy has an important question. Very important question is, why isn't there any ladder emojis? Valid, Tommy. I have no clue. That blows me away. Adam Price goes back to Dario. Adam says, Dario at first is advising Dany to marry the noble guy, but then acts all jealous and moody about it by the time the wedding day comes around. That's true. But
manipulation.
If it is, it's manipulation. Yeah, which is perfect for Euron. And if it is Euron, he'll just end up killing the dude anyways and make it look like it was an accident of some sort, Miss Martin Muse, one of my favorites, says Theon is I can't read that. Susceptible to despair. That is true. I mean, he's been broken. I don't know if he'll ever get true Theon back. It's going to be a different version of a bit Reek, a bit Theon, a bit of whatever he becomes.
Okay, what if he does commit suicide and is brought back somehow?
Oh, snap.
Excellent.
What dies? What? Yeah.
Like a fire white.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That makes sense. What is it again? What dies never? What is it? Shit, I forgot it again.
No.
What's dead never dies?
What is dead may never die.
That's it.
And if he hangs dead, right? So. If he hangs himself from the weirwood tree, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's brought back, that would mean Bloodraven.
And don't forget, at the end of that chapter, tree, Theon.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And we know from book 5 that Bloodraven 90% sure is the Lord of Light.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess, that's one definite. But don't forget, if they do kill him or he hangs himself by the weirwood, blood drips onto the weirwood root. That's sacrifice. He can then bring him back. Yeah. And then maybe he's part of the collective.
Right.
Not the guinea pig collective, the weirwood net. I don't know. That's a valid point.
It goes back to the children being behind it all, sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh God, they're behind everything. They really are.
Yeah, and I think the same thing happened to Daenerys actually when she burned, because George Martin said it would be a one-time thing. That she was.
You said she died, right?
Seemingly fireproof, but George said that was a one-time thing. She's not resistant to fire.
Yeah, don't forget she burns her hands by Drago.
And
Drogon, excuse me.
Yeah, and she burned the pyre right after she had freed slaves, and she's obsessed with freeing slaves right after, and her children, because she had just lost a kid, right?
So she's so focused on those two things.
Yeah,
and her right to be, and it's her.
Yeah,
she is to be the queen.
Yeah,
that,
and everyone else are her children.
Yep.
And she's freeing slaves left and right. So I think Daenerys died on that pyre, but she was brought back to life by the Lord of Light.
It could be, man. I mean, it's valid to say that. And it's also, it would fit perfectly with the way she acts. And as she goes on, it seems like they get even more aggressive about it.
Yeah, and
So,
she's getting more aggressive, and
yep.
Melisandre hardly eats or sleeps, and I think that's the case with Daenerys too, because when they're starving in the desert, she seems
She's
to be a lot.
fine.
She's doing a lot better than the others.
Right. And when other people are sleeping, she's out on her balcony on the pyramid. Like she rarely, the only time she goes to bed is to, make whoopee,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a valid point, man.
Yeah, I think that's because George said it was a one-time thing, and that's a hint. Because why would she be resistant to fire just once?
Right. Something to think about.
And
So you're getting a little
and
taste also for next week, people.
yeah, and no other Targaryen has
Mhm.
been resistant to fire because they keep bringing it up in the books that this and that Targaryen burned to death. Even her brother died from heat.
Right. Yeah. And that's what right after that, she says, the dragon, fire does not hurt the dragon or whatever it is,
Yeah.
so right there, she got that idea that she is the dragon,
Yeah.
which I think Quaithe has been putting in her head since they met. Glass
But
candles and all that stuff.
that
It's interesting.
theory is one I feel strongly about, though. That she
No,
actually
I think that's a
died
good
on
one.
that fire and was reborn in a way. Same
I
as
don't think I've heard that theory before you said it.
it popped into my head when I saw that interview with George.
Right.
He said it was only a one-time thing.
That's crazy, man. All right, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark, so we're going to wrap this one up. But before we do that, I want to one more time say, and let me get myself up here and let me show my beautiful face. Fandom Menace Volumes 1, A Fandom Betrayed. Please support this man and his effort to chronicle what we have been doing for the last few years, and supporting independent content creator and a friend. Please support his Indiegogo. I don't know if Tommy has one readily available. I think Christy popped that up on the top, so you can scroll up if you can. But if not, I'll try to make sure I put it in the description when I drop this when we're done here. But this is a good man here. He needs your support. Please support him. Hopefully he can move on to the volume 2. And when he gets to the 4th wave, I have a huge chapter or something. Jerk. Thanks, everybody. I keep wanting to say any last words, but we will go on for another 6 hours. So we will finish this one off. Jayne, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me here on YouTube at Jayne Theory, where I have weekly movie and television reviews and occasionally some pop culture commentary. You can also follow me on Twitter, where I will be posting copies of those videos and comments on news and memes and whatever may be going on. See you then.
All right. And feel free to clip this if you ever want to, any of these. And how do you feel about Dany being a fire white?
Now, I mean, I'm somewhat undecided because I'm not exactly sure what she is, but
Right.
it seems highly plausible at this point. But I'm not exactly sure. The more I think about it, the more I come to believe that all of these people may be being manipulated in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she's, I don't know. I'm not ready to say that she's dead yet.
Right.
Not yet.
I like it too. I'm starting to like it. I mean, the first time he said it to me, it did pop. It sounded right. Like it just sounds right.
Yeah.
And that'll give you the reason why she is, I don't know, like focused so much and maybe turns to what we think is bad, is because it's just a compulsion she can't stop. And when she slays Aegon, when the people love him,
Mhm.
I think that's going to be the turning point for her.
But it
So
also could be that they're more susceptible. I mean, the Mad King was hearing voices
true.
as well, so it may be that they're being manipulated from afar,
Right.
not necessarily that she's been possessed, essentially.
No,
I
that's
don't know.
valid. I mean, a lot of people think Bloodraven messed with the Mad King. Who's to say they're not messing with her still?
Yeah.
You know, I like that.
Wasn't there weirwood stuff in the House of the Undying?
That one I can't remember. Theirs isn't. It's like the invert of that. It's the tree that gives the shade of the evening, which is like a black tree with a purple fruit. But look that up seriously, Stig, because it's like I feel like the weirwood and that tree are inverted in a way, but also have a lot of similarities. You can have visions from them. You could get possessed by them. It feels like. So
Did anyone else see Quaid, or was it just Daenerys?
I think the first time she was, I want to say, Mormont did.
Okay,
So I could be wrong. You might want to double check that, but that's I believe in the second book.
yeah,
That's one to think about, though.
it's something to look up though. If we're rereading,
Yeah.
if she sleeps or starves at any point.
No, we're gonna keep an eye on that after Game of Thrones. I think that's valid, man. That's a smart move. And talking about Game of Thrones, book club is on Wednesday. We will be I think we're chapter 12 to maybe, hopefully 20. I don't think we're going to make it there. We'd like to do, how many did we say? 5 a week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably smart, but I'd like to get it to a 5, 5 or a 0 chapter because I'm weird like that. But we will do our best. Stig, you want to plug your Twitter or anything?
Yeah, just I'm usually on this channel or on Christie's channel.
Yeah.
So
most fun we have.
Just a nerdy fellow who talks to nerdy YouTubers, really.
Yeah. And Mason says it best. Thank Mr. Mod. Seriously, Tommy, without you, none of my Jayne's, Christy, Stig's, anybody's stuff would get out there. So much appreciated, brother. Please drop your own link in there. If you guys are not subscribed to Tommy, you're missing out on some really fun stuff. The first thing I would tell you to do, check out his MASH video. I love that video. I've watched it twice already. It's really informative.
Tommy does superb work with retro information.
Oh my God, it's so cool.
Yeah, top man.
And his lightsabers. That whole, I mean, he has like 17, 18 videos on lightsabers. It's really cool. So please drop that link, buddy. Thank you everybody for supporting us. If you haven't subscribed, if you're watching this at a later date, please help out the channel. Like, share, comment. It helps out the algorithm that hates us. And remember, what's my new saying? Oh yeah, remember, freedom. It's not free. Have a great night.